A lot of students and even a lot of LSAT prep companies say you can't improve at LSAT reading comp. The good news is they're wrong. There is a system to not just survive but dominate this section. Imagine reading any reading comp passage, no matter how dense or confusing, and confidently being able to solve every single question. Today, I'll break down the exact steps to transform your LSAT reading comp performance. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, the problem with LSAT reading comp most students face is they think it's a test of how fast you can read or how much you can memorize. That's totally wrong. LSAT reading comp is actually testing your ability to 1. Break down complex ideas, 2. Identify arguments and their structure, and 3. Spot subtle shifts in tone or emphasis. LSAT reading comp passages are specifically written by LSAC to confuse you. They are not written like articles in Scientific American or The Economist, and while they might include dense topics, like the ones that you'll find in those publications, topics like physics or obscure economic theories, they may add unnecessary details and distract you with tempting wrong answers, unlike a periodical that most people are reading for leisure. Now, here's an example. One of my old students, I'll call her Sarah, she used to spend all her time reading publications like Scientific American and The Economist because she'd been told that it would help her with LSAT reading comp. The thing is, after spending weeks and even a few months reading those magazines, she still couldn't retain the main idea of LSAT reading comp passages, and she was totally unable to answer the questions correctly. Once we shifted her focus to exclusively looking at LSAT reading comp passages and how to better understand the structure and the tone, her accuracy skyrocketed. So the takeaway for you is stop treating LSAT reading comp passages like articles in the real world. Instead, focus on treating LSAT reading comp passages with the respect they deserve. This is a unique challenge, but you can conquer it. It comes down to breaking LSAT passages down into manageable parts. Here is the simple 3-step system I use with my students for LSAT reading comp success. Step 1, understand the passage. Ask yourself these 3 key questions as you read. 1, what is the author's main point? 2, how is the passage structured, with arguments, examples, or contrasts between different viewpoints? And the third question, what is the author's tone or opinion? Summarize the answers to these questions in your own words immediately after you read the passage. You don't need to memorize every detail of the passage, just know where to find those details when you need them to help you solve specific questions. And speaking of questions, that's step 2, decode the question. Identify the type of question being asked. Is it a main idea question asking you what the passage is really about in essence? Is it a tone question about how the author feels? Or is it a detail-oriented question asking you where in the passage does the specific evidence exist to support a given answer choice? Knowing the question type helps you approach it strategically without getting sidetracked with tricky wording. Now, step 3, analyze the answer choices. And this is where most students fall into traps. For every question, ask what makes the wrong answer choice so tempting and what makes the right answer seem unappealing. LSAC loves to include extreme language like always or never in wrong answers. Spotting patterns like this early can save you a ton of time and frustration. And this is where the Socratic review method comes into play. This is your secret weapon for pinpointing your weaknesses and turning them into strengths. Here's how to do it. After every passage you read that you had trouble with, ask yourself, was my misunderstanding in the passage, the question, or the answers? Then break down your mistakes. If it was in the passage, did confusing wording trip you up? If it was the question, did you misinterpret the question type? Or if it was in the answer choices, which particular tricks and traps did you fall for? The Socratic review method is the cornerstone of our courses and one-on-one coaching programs at LSAT Unplugged. We'll walk you through an in-depth review process to help you pinpoint your weak areas and improve in them. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Whatever you do going forward in your LSAT prep, know that by investing time in this detailed Socratic review method process, you'll start spotting patterns in your errors. And once you identify the patterns in your mistakes, you can, of course, eliminate them for good. Now, there are a number of different drills that we use with our students at LSAT Unplugged to improve your retention and accuracy. One drill is to summarize the main point and structure of the passage in just 1 to 2 sentences and answer only the general questions like main idea, primary purpose, and tone using just your summary. You could reserve a lot of the older practice test reading comp passages for this purpose and save the newer passages for your timed sections and full-length exams. The second drill we love to use with our students is a memory challenge where you read the passage once, take no notes, and answer the questions based only on your memory. This tests your ability to retain key information and forces you to engage more deeply with the text as you read. One of my old students, I'll call him James, was skeptical about this memory drill, but after just a week of trying it, his ability to recall key ideas without rereading the passage text improved significantly, and he no longer felt panicked when faced with difficult, dense passages. Now, of course, the people who make the LSAT are masters of creating tempting wrong answers. Here are 5 of the most common traps you'll see and how to avoid them. The first trap is extreme language. Again, as I mentioned earlier, be extremely cautious of words like always or never, because LSAT reading comp passages are typically more nuanced than that. The second big mistake that LSAT loves to throw at you is irrelevant details. If something wasn't mentioned or supported by the passage text, it's wrong. You also want to look out for negations, which are statements that flip the meaning of the passage's ideas. You want to look out for choices that mix concepts by combining unrelated details to create an answer that sounds right, but isn't because one little area of it may be off. And of course, you want to look for choices that have the opposite meaning of what was contained in the passage text. So the answer choice may seem aligned, but if it directly contradicts the passage, of course, it's out and you can eliminate it. Once you know what traps to look for, you'll spend less time second-guessing yourself and more time getting questions right. Now, retention isn't just about reading, it's about engaging multiple senses. So for example, you might want to take some brief notes to help summarize the passages by hand to reinforce key ideas. You might want to speak your summaries out loud to solidify your understanding. Just a word of caution here, you can do this during your practice, but you won't be able to speak out loud on LSAT test day itself. And finally, you might want to visualize the structure of the passage by picturing the passage as a roadmap, with each section representing a key argument or detail. The more ways you engage with the material, the better your retention is going to be. So by now, after watching this video, you've got a complete system going forward for mastering LSAT reading comp. Break down the passage into the key ideas, approach the questions with your strategy, review your mistakes using the Socratic review method, drill your retention, and learn to spot and avoid traps. And again, of course, if you'd like my help mastering LSAT reading comp, applying the Socratic review method to your LSAT prep, my team and I would be glad to help you out. You can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.